And what's cracking? What is cracking, everybody? How's everyone doing? Hey Julian, what's up? Vishal, I messaged you, by the way. How's everyone feeling today? How's everyone feeling? Markets are red. Russia's bombing Ukraine. Yo, Julian, we gotta get you onto the next live stream. I absolutely love, I was telling Sean this on our trip, I absolutely love the fact that you're keeping up with the whole macro scene. I think it's really, really cool. Who's this guy? It says beautiful today and you. It's been a beautiful day, man. Beautiful day. So Sean and I just got back from a trip, as some of you guys know. It was an exhausting trip. I mean, we'd gone out for some work. But we said we got back and we're like, you know what? We're still gonna be disciplined with our routine. So we got up early, hit the gym. Right after the gym, came back, scheduled the stream, and here we are. I did legs today. It was yeah, excruciating. I hate leg day. Is it just me? For Sean, it's back. He hates doing back, and I hate doing legs. Rao Arslan says, feeling not good. Guys, hold on to your Bitcoin. Don't get shaken out, especially if you've bought spot. I'm buying. I think I'm sticking to my plan. I don't care what happens. I'm buying. Every major level, I'm buying Bitcoin. I bought more. Because I believe we're on the monthly 21 EMA. So I've bought some here. I got more firepower left for when we do dip. Hey, Sherry. Is it Sherry or is it Cherry? I just don't want to be pronouncing it the wrong way. Julian, it was, like I said, it was a tiring trip. Sean and I, we're not travelers. We like our low-key vacations. Even when we do go out, we're usually just chilling at the beach, laying down with some cocktails. Robert M, what's going on, Rob? Needless to say, some trades at invalidation levels. Ooh. Wait, what do you mean by invalidation levels? Are you long? Sean is taking care of me, guys. He got me my vitamins. Get you a man who gets you your vitamins. Vasant says 20k Bitcoin. Maybe, man. Maybe. Let's see. At least, at the very least, if we do fall from here, I'm expecting 25k. There's that one level, right, that everything, like, it's had some amazing historic playthrough. It's the weekly 200, and I know a lot of eyes are currently on that. So, and Sean was just wondering, he's looking at the chart today, and he's like, you think 14k is not possible? Did he say 14k or 18k? Anyway, something ridiculous. But the fact that I think it's ridiculous, I mean, it speaks volumes. It's usually, you know, what people least expect.
Good morning, everyone.
There he is.
I step into the conversation, you guys talking about 14k now, eh? Hey?
No, I was telling them about your crazy target. Not target, but, you know, what you were speculating. Sean always has the craziest numbers. You know, to the upside, it's something like 600,000. To the downside, it's like 14k. The last time he had this, I told you guys, right, was at 3k region. Think about it. Price was sitting at 3k. Everyone was bearish as hell. And Sean's like, guys, this is going up to $14,000.
And it did. And it did. And it did so fast as well.
So that's the thing, right?
Everyone was bearish. Everyone. Even traders I really, really respected were all bearish. I mean, then again, we are not contrarian traders, right? There were signs, there was support, there was indications that we're going to be making that big move. But again, you don't... I just want to re-emphasize this. When you're going for the big win, guys, you don't need to be right all the time. You don't need the percent of your wins to happen that often. You just need to catch those big wins like 2 out of every 10 times, man. That's all it takes, and it changes your life. It can change your life. So we'll talk about that today. We'll talk about my trade. I'll be giving you guys an update, a proper update on the trade that we've been discussing over the past few days. We can talk about lessons learned, mistakes, etc., etc. What I should have done in hindsight, which is always easier to talk about, but also how that's benefiting me right now. But also, you know what? Let me just switch on over to the freaking charts, or rather, the camera. And good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. My name is Sean Dexter, and I welcome you guys back to the Mango Grow to live stream. I'm a bit rusty. Let me just go ahead and turn down the music really quick because I'm trying to do multiple things at the same time and I can't hear myself. Okay, so the music might be a tad bit low for you guys, but hey, who cares? All you guys need to hear is me, Sean Dexter's back. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. I hope you guys are having a great red day. I know you guys are probably feeling down, but not to worry. Mango's here. The entire purpose of today's stream is literally going to be just to hang out with you guys, to essentially, you know, have all of us together so that we are kind of crying on each other's shoulders. We all have our emotional support with each other, etc., etc. Kusha is joining us as well in today's live stream in an effort to keep this live stream running as long as possible today, so that we can be there for you guys for as long as possible. Kusha and I will be playing some Brawlhalla with you guys, and it's so funny that we have the legend Vishal joining us today in today's stream, because we used to do these long gaming session live streams back all the way, was it 2020? Damn, it's been 2 years, Vish? 2 years, Vish! How's it going, buddy? How's it going? Good to see you in here. Krisha, how are you?
I'm good. Hello, handsome. Vishal, congratulations, man. Vishal got a new baby. So he sent me the album, which I'm very excited to see.
Oh man, you can't be sending Krisha baby pics, dude. Can't be doing that.
I'm dead. Oh god. Tan asks, is this Krisha, which is your favorite beach for you too? Favorite beach? Any beach that serves cocktails. Really. Not all beaches do that, but some beaches have like these little restaurants or shacks or something. Anything that has cocktails on it. Cocktails, water, nice good white sand. That's the beach I like.
My favorite beaches were the ones in Rio, in Brazil. Those were really fun. And there's some really nice beaches in Goa, in Australia too. Great beaches.
Yes.
And in the Middle East, there are some nice, calm, as in it's more so the lack of people on the beach that makes it a great beach. But yeah, it's like beaches need to be fun, you know. Like, I didn't enjoy the beaches in Canada. I also don't like crowded beaches, so.
We're the beach couple. We're that beach couple. I'm new, but I've had some good shorts the past few months. Good for you, man. I think it was the short end that people should have been playing, because, I mean, all the signs were alluding to just that, right? With lost trends everywhere. So big props to those of you who are trading, those of you who are learning right now, taking this opportunity to learn. I made my biggest strides in trading in general during the bear market. I was lucky to have Sean, but
you guys well, she's been out trading me recently.
This is the time. You're not gonna. And I think, Sean, you had a recording today. Did you? I heard you do a recording today where you're telling them that the last bull market, that entire sort of move happened in a matter of 3 months. 3 months. Right? There was no time. Yeah. There was no time to sit and study. There's no time to sit and play catch up during that 3 month span where the price is just moving and all you feel is FOMO. This is the time that everyone needs to be hunkering down and learning. Study this stuff. Especially if you want to be here, if you're enjoying this this field, this is the time, my friends.
Yeah, you're referring to the voice recording I sent, Seed.
Ah,
Yeah,
Yes.
I didn't send it to Grove. I'll send the clip on over to Grove too. And those of you who are not on our Discord yet, make sure you guys join. We have a really, really friendly community in there. We talk about everything and anything. Recently, the topic of the day, of course, has been the Ukraine-Russia news, which is pretty sad as to see these events unfold. But I've been actually studying history and wars recently. I wasn't expecting any of this, like it's just a huge coincidence. But for the past 3 months now, I've been studying various wars that took place over the past maybe, I don't know, 900 to 1000 years. Of course, I can't remember all of them through the top of my head, but there's so many similarities as to what's going on. I'm trying to catch up on the situation with Russia and Ukraine, and I've been keeping an eye on the China-Taiwan issue more so, but I know Julian has been keeping an eye on the Russia-Ukraine issue, which has been broiling for some time now. It seems to be coming to culmination with events that are not... It's pretty sad, right? And the markets are also showing some sad candles today. But Kusha, what are your thoughts on all of this?
My thoughts. Now I think that this is a so I mean I'm not that big a student of history, even though I should be. Like I'm trying to catch up. But I think it really depends. I sometimes I wonder. So this entire juncture of the market, you know, there's a lot of turbulence out there in terms of political affairs. So I want to know. Sean, I'm not sure if you have sort of looked back into this, but how has gold usually performed during these times of war? During times of war, how has gold performed? Because I think it's in this juncture where we'll sort of understand where Bitcoin lies in this entire sort of spectrum of assets. Right?
Yeah,
Are we looking at this as gold? Are we looking at this as a preservation sort of vehicle? Or what's happening here with Bitcoin? I think this is going to be a very special juncture in the side that Bitcoin really takes here, to tell us, hey, you know what? Which side of the spectrum is Bitcoin really on? How are people perceiving Bitcoin, rather?
Yeah, I don't think Bitcoin is there yet as a reserve currency or the safe haven asset that people deem it to be. Like, I've always been saying this for a few years now, that Bitcoin is an emerging safe haven asset, right? It's treated, in my opinion, more as a growth asset in the commodity space, right? It's growing into, it's a weird combination that behaves, an asset that behaves as a commodity that is emerging and growing into its role as a safe haven asset. So there's constantly going to be a tug of war between traders who are trading it as a growth asset, so a risk-on asset, and traders who are trading it, or rather investors who are looking to trade it as a emerging asset in the future, right? So they're like, okay, you know what? It's pulled down now. I think this is my safest bet, and I'm going to be buying over here because I'd rather hold this versus anything else, especially in these times of turmoil. So there are going to be traders who just sell because of the very situation that there are going to be other traders who buy, right? So there's a battle between the fundamentals, long-term fundamentals, and the short-term liquidity risks, right? So that's a tug of war going on right now, and it's not going to resolve anytime soon. But over time, the markets are going to see, like, I'll quickly switch on over to charts. Markets going to see things like this. Why is Bitcoin holding a key level, a key neckline? You guys can't see my chart, or you guys can see my Brawlhalla over here too.
Yeah.
Why is Bitcoin holding these key levels over here? While if we switch on over to SPY quickly, you're seeing like a lot of the, especially NASDAQ, SPY, a lot of growth assets actually losing levels, right? If you look at the structure of SPY, let's look at the daily and the weekly. The weekly would be a better, like, it's lost a key level over here. And in fact, it lost it all the way over here at 434, it lost it. So SPY is not holding structure while Bitcoin is holding structure, right? Bitcoin essentially has been going sideways in a consolidation range for the past year now. SPY has been going up and now has broken structure. So people are going to start noticing this and be like, wait a minute, it's not really acting as a risk on asset, but at the same time it is, because that battle, that tug of war is going on. That being said, your question on gold is really, really important, Krisha. How is gold treated during times of war? Gold really... So this is what you guys need to understand during times of war. During times of war, the trust in debts being fulfilled. So I'll take a step back. When countries go into war, they're going to take on debt, right? The entire reason World War II was such a big issue was because of the war reparations that were enforced on Germany, that were essentially everybody else's debt, right? That they took during World War One. So World War One, all these countries loaded themselves up with debt, and now they're like, okay, you know what? Germany needs to pay off all this debt because they were the aggressors, blah blah blah. So there's a lot of debt that is accumulated during times of war to be able to fund the war. However, at the time, you don't know who the victor of the war is going to be, okay? You don't know who the victor of the war is going to be, and the currency of that country who's taking the debt comes under a lot of pressure. Now, if I am lending money to a country who's likely going to be printing a lot of currency, Krisha, would you, if you were in that position, if you're lending money to a country that is about to go into war, would you want to be repaid in that country's currency? Or would you say, you know
they're
what?
Printing, right? So they're diluting.
Yeah, you have no faith in the currency holding its value, right? So
Right,
you're going to say,
right.
I want a international settlement of value. And at the moment, that's gold, right? Gold is a safer bet. Maybe USD is also a safe bet. So gold, USD, US stocks, to be honest too, are likely going to be not getting as trashed as any of the stocks that are involved who are directly related in the Russian. I'm pretty sure the Russian markets are getting probably wrecked right now, to be honest, because just by the nature of this, right? You lose faith in the country being able to hold its value when it enters war. So gold will do well. Again, I don't think Bitcoin is going to do well in a situation like this because it is emerging into an international settlement of reserve, right? We have El Salvador now with their Bitcoin bonds, and then maybe Mexico is like, you'll start seeing countries over time start accepting Bitcoin as a international means of settlement, but it's not going to happen anytime soon. It may happen faster than we think, not anytime soon. In the meantime, that's all going to be opportunity for traders who want to be buying these dips, right, on Bitcoin. And anything else that they like, if you think Ethereum is going to be that answer in the future, maybe Ethereum, maybe Cardano, right? Of course, like, I think it's Bitcoin, but
Just funny that you mentioned that because, well, with that logic, with what you just explained to everybody, right? I would totally expect at this point, if you have to draw parallels to history and how they all acted during World War II and how things were settled, debt was settled, and the collateral in which they held it, that collateral was clearly gold, right? So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, so right now, technically, gold should be like really, really breaking out and rallying, because if I was a country, I'd be stacking up on that gold in anticipation for, for these settlements to happen. If I were to pay my debts off or whatever, and check out gold's chart on. That's a proper breakout. XAU USD.
Yeah, this gold is looking, there you go, right? Gold is looking for, and there's volume on this as well.
Yeah, it's not something to be ignored. So we're seeing a bid coming, not just a bid. We're seeing the bids really stack up on this one right here. So we have gold rallying, we have oil freaking at triple digits right now. So
WTI is, I think it made a high of almost $100.
Yeah, I think it's on its way to 110. I think it's broken decent resistance overhead. 110 is likely going to be the next target for crude, for WTI US oil.
What's it sitting at right now?
It's sitting at 98.
110, Krisha? Okay.
I think
So this, man, there's a lot to talk about today. But I want to highlight and emphasize again to everyone that when the Fed started this narrative of tightening around late Jan to Feb, and the markets started taking a huge dump, over here at Mango, we were expecting a narrative flip leading into March, and either the Fed not being as aggressive with their rate hikes, in regards to how many rate hikes they put or completely flipping on the rate hike narrative, or rather on their hawkish posture, right? They flip into a more dovish posture and say, you know what, we're not going to do it anymore. But the thing is, we didn't know what the narrative was going to be, but there was a narrative that we were speculating that would show up. And this seems, Kusha, in my opinion, to be enough of a reason for the Fed to have political cover and say, you know what, the markets have done what we expected it to do in terms of forward guidance, right? We gave forward guidance. We said we're going to be starting the rate hikes and reducing the asset purchases. Remember, they were buying bonds at a rate of $50 billion a month or something like that, something ridiculous. They're going to be reducing that. And they've also considering quantitative tightening, which is essentially selling bonds into the market. That was the scary part for the market, in my opinion. Now, if they say, in my opinion, if they come out and say, you know what, we are not going to be selling. We're not going to be reversing our balance sheet. We may reduce how much we buy. And in terms of the rate hikes, we are going to do only maybe 1 or 2 rate hikes. If they say even that, guys, that's going to be super bullish. That's going to be that's going to be essentially the market overpricing how much the Fed was going to hike, right? So right now the market is pricing in not only Fed rate hikes but also a liquidity crisis, a potential liquidity crisis with this Ukraine-Russia war, right? So there's a lot being priced into the market at the moment. So being a seller over here, you have to be very, very careful, very, very agile, and know when to take profits, because any move that comes, in my opinion, any deep move worth trading is going to happen fast, right? Because a lot has already been priced in. So remember, guys, that was our plan going into March, right? Into the big end of Feb and the beginning of March. And so far, it is shaping together, but how do we trade that? That's the difficult situation. That's a difficult question. How do we trade that? Krisha, are you looking at any potential trades?
I mean, I'm still on the short end when it comes to the altcoins. I think the altcoins have more to go, more downside to go, in my opinion. So I'm in a couple of short trades on that. As far as Bitcoin is concerned, I think, how many of you caught yesterday's Bitcoin analysis? We highlighted a very key sort of level of support, which I believe Bitcoin is currently hovering underneath right now. We haven't lost it yet because a loss would entail that we close a candle underneath that level, which we haven't done just yet. But I'm looking at the 3-day 200 simple moving average. Right now, that's had amazing playthrough in the past. And I'm looking at that as a critical level. So as soon as we start holding that as overhead resistance, a price, basically the bears managed to come in swinging and saying that, nope, we're not letting you take this baby up, right? We meet with consistent resistance on the 200. I'm saying further down we come. My target, honestly, I know people are looking at that 20K region and stuff. I'm saying 25-ish. I mean, 20K would be a brilliant bid. I'd be bidding there, but my next trade would be a short trade, given that we get that confirmed close underneath the 3-day 200 simple moving average on.
And you're looking for that move to 25,000 that you had marked out an idea, a Bitcoin short idea to me, flipped to, or rather a move towards the downside with a V-bottom sort of recovery on the higher time frames towards the upside. That fractal pattern that you found that took place on Amazon as well years ago. So you're looking for that?
Yes. Oh, damn okay. Right. Okay. And yeah, maybe
almost forgotten about that.
Up. I did. I did. Thank you for reminding me. There was this, and you know what? Bitcoin's chart is like super. It's uncanny, the resemblance to that of Amazon. So I'm looking at that actually playing out. And you know what? I think the current political situation can sort of give Bitcoin that move, that V bottom up sort of move. Initially, I was dismissing it because the thing of war was not a threat, right? War on the horizon was not a threat back just 2 months ago, but now it very much is a threat. And the thing is that another thing about gold versus Bitcoin, that the whole thing of the settlement process and the whole thing of transportation and stuff, Bitcoin doesn't really have to go through that entire thing. And I think that the current political situation could see Bitcoin actually getting a bid.
Yeah, I think so too.
Right? I think
Especially,
it, yeah. And hey, Russia, like you can see that Putin, like he's totally open to Bitcoin, introducing Bitcoin, and I think they've made it legal, right? Bitcoin in Russia. I think this is
yeah, they made it
positioning for
legal
something.
currency.
I
Yeah.
think all of these countries are positioning for something for Bitcoin, because even gold, gold's got a lot of gatekeepers right now. So even getting your hands on that for some of these sovereigns to get their hands on gold, it's not an easy affair.
Is it really true that Putin actually said at the end of his speech that if there are any sanctions placed on him, that in regards to the SWIFT dollar system or sanctions regarding just their ability to trade freely, is it really true that he mentioned Bitcoin? That he said he's just gonna use Bitcoin, or is that
I don't
just
know. Can someone
Julian with
confirm?
me? Yeah,
Did he
yeah.
did he actually say something like that? Because that was just going like wild, was like wildfire on Twitter. I'm like, did he really say that? Did he really?
Yeah, natural gas is facing some pressure too because again, countries are reliant on Russia, so this is going to be really, really interesting to see how all of this plays out. There's going to be so much inflationary pressure from all of this, right? So, if I was mentioning this on the Discord as well, where a lot of these macro analysts who were claiming that inflation is transitionary, it's going to subside, and one of the biggest reasons was because the inflation is not coming from the money supply being printed or going up, but more so from the supply chains being disrupted. But the thing is, supply chains being disrupted don't magically fix themselves, especially in the current conditions of pandemics, lockdowns. We have protests globally. There's so much, and now we have war as well, right? So supply chain disruptions are just getting worse. So does that not mean that the inflation is just going to get worse? So their own reason for inflation being transitory is actually going against them now because supply chain issues are actually getting exacerbated at the current juncture. So when you have, again, I fail to see how Jay Powell can actually go ahead with his plans to tighten when there are already so many freaking constraints on the world. When you have inflationary pressures because of supply chain issues, tightening the money supply is not going to fix that problem. In fact, it may make that problem worse, right? If their supply chains are relying on liquidity to keep the operations going, now suddenly you tighten liquidity and they have to shut down their supply chains. Is that not going to make the issue worse? I think this is a policy error and a massive misstep by being so hawkish on how they are going to be proceeding with their monetary policy towards throughout this year. But then again, we always knew that they were going to posture one way and go the other way. But things are getting out of hand now, where if they reverse policy and flip bullish, or rather dovish, assets are going to go up. But there's still going to be so much pressure on the economy. Will wages keep up with that? So if there's no real productivity, but assets are going up, you're seeing inflation without productivity. Kusha, that's stagflation. That is stagflation,
Yes,
and that is
exactly.
scary. That is actually really scary.
That's and I think there was that one period that it happened. I think it was in the early 80s, where there was stagflation, and that's not a pretty picture. It's not a pretty picture. Like it takes a lot because now you're dealing with a whole lot of human emotions and perceptions, and you have to make all the right moves to get things back in order. And it's funny that you mentioned this. Now I see it, Sean. So Sean was talking to me about this thing today, where the Fed's hands are tied, and he thinks that they're going to back out of the whole thing of tightening. And I see it because right now, if you just apply this thing of just basic supply demand economics, prices go up. Okay, prices go up with tightening, with even this the hike in oil prices, with the supply chain constraints. Prices go up, there's going to be less demand. Okay, people
Yeah.
are a lot less likely to buy when prices are high. Okay, I think we can all sort of agree with that. The thing
Ti-
is that COVID had negative implications on the economy, wherein it slowed down the economy massively across the globe. They cannot afford this again. Like, this is going to nuke productivity. This is going to nuke all of that employment numbers that they had, that they were boasting about, that, okay, guys, employment is back up, we're all good to go. That is going to undo and unravel all of that stuff that they had worked on.
No, I
Right?
agree.
So now that's under threat as well. So it may just be that the Fed might actually turn back on the whole thing of tightening. But now, Sean, it begs the question. Okay, so now this is what it is. Let's look at the money flow tightening and easing of the money flow as a tap, right? Now he said that, okay, guys, we're gonna tighten, we're gonna close this tap of money, and say he reneges on that, he goes back on that, right? He just ends up keeping the flow as is. What would that mean for the markets at
Well,
that point?
the markets need to reverse everything that they did price in, because the market's expecting tightening, and they're pricing in tightening at least a good 6 to 9 months ahead, right? So if that has been undone, or rather that promise has been broken, the market is going to price in the opposite now, which is essentially the reverse of the tightening. So but it's not going to be as cut and dry out there, because now we still have these scares over what, or rather the market at the moment at the very least is spooked over what's going to be happening with the Russia-Ukraine situation, right?
Yeah.
And that's an entire beast that we got to unpack over there as well. So it's really, really interesting what's going on over there, because if Russia escalates the situation further, and it seems like they are escalating from what I'm seeing, at least, again, I don't know, these accounts are getting in from Twitter, and you can't even trust the news anymore, so I don't know what to watch. But depending on what really happens, the USA has to make a move, and based on how the USA responds, the markets are going to also respond. So I'm sure no one wants, I'm sure at least the United States themselves don't really want this situation to escalate. But this reminds me of the situation that, going back all the way to the war between the Spartans and the Athenians, right? The major powers were pulled into the war. Like, the war did not begin between the Spartans and the Athenians. It was the Corinthians who got into a small conflict with the Corsarians, and then the Athenians, who were just a major trading power at the time, who were building up their armies and beginning to become a threat to Sparta, and challenging Sparta's position in Greece as a police force. That's what Sparta essentially was, right? They were the USA of the Greek countries. And Athenians sent. So yeah, there was conflict between the Corinthians and the Corsarians, and the Athenians just sent like a small band of ships to be like an arbitrator and try to like dissolve the situation. But one thing led to another, and then the Corinthians went to their ally, who was Sparta, saying, how dare you guys let the Athenians get away with this? You guys promised us that you won't let that you will defend us against blah 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 blah, right? And if you don't fulfill your obligations, then we cannot rely on you. And now there's a similar situation that's going on over here, where USA made all these promises to Ukraine, they made these promises to Taiwan, and they're both, Ukraine is facing pressure from Russia, Taiwan is facing pressure from China, and USA's position in the world as the police force is coming under question, right? And I think Putin is smelling blood. Probably also after the Afghanistan situation, that was probably a seminal event, and now again the inflation crisis. Like they understand that this war is not cut and dry. America does not have the same force that it had back in the 1995, I believe it was, when China tried some shenanigans with Taiwan, and Clinton sent like Clinton's show of force was so dramatic that China had to back down and cower away. Right, he sent Krisha like a huge naval force, right to the borders of Taiwan, to the coast of Taiwan, and China had like, all right, we are. That was USA, right, at the time, right? They were able to show force, and now it's not that cut and dry because yeah.
And they had good money back then, right? Because they had what was his name, the Fed chairman back then, who sort of straightened out the markets for them. I'm forgetting his name. I cannot believe I'm forgetting his name. If this was in 1995, they had a really, really
who are you talking about?
Strong head. This is the U.S. because that ultimately, even to show strength, right, especially army strength, you're gonna need money. These things don't come cheap. The thing is that even right now, all of these countries, they're so levered up. Right? There's so much freaking debt. Where is this money going to come from?
Yeah.
Right? They're using their thing as the global currency, their status of global currency, to actually, wage these wars. But the thing is that now we're seeing countries sort of break out of that, and a lot of them are actually doing trades amongst their own currencies. So even the US dollar no longer holds that sort of allure that it once did.
That's a interesting point. It's not so much so the US dollar, but more so the SWIFT system. And this kind of you can draw parallels to this as well in regards to the Portugal and the Spanish War that took place while the Roman Church, right, the Holy Roman Empire, or the Roman Church, the papacy, was also at its prime. They were in power. So Portugal at the time was the ruling power, Spain was the rising power, the emerging power, and this was one of the few times, by the way, that rising power challenged the current power, and there was no war. There was a peaceful resolution. Why? Because there was an arbitrator that was able to lay down threats to both parties and say, you guys need to resolve this peacefully. And at the time, that was, the Roman Church, right? So essentially, this was the battle over essentially South America, Brazil, Argentina area, where they had discovered those lands, and Portugal and Spain were essentially laying claim. This is during Christopher Columbus's era, etc. We can go deeper into that, but essentially, when it came down to the negotiation process, the sides had to give in and they had to make concessions. Why? Because the papacy, right, being legitimate underneath the papacy was really, really important to these kings, right? Because if they were excommunicated from the papacy, that was disastrous to these kings. I think it was King Charles and King, was it Henry? I forget. But anyways, it was really important to them. Similarly, for the past like 15-20 years, being part of the SWIFT system was really, really important for trade. Was really important, right? You needed US dollars to be able to function as an economy, or to grow your economy. Now, however, you're seeing Russia trade with China directly without using US dollars. I believe Russia and India are also trading directly using rubles. Could someone correct me on that if I'm wrong?
No, they are.
Okay, there you go. And now there are alternatives with crypto, right? You don't need any. No one can censor your transactions on crypto when trading with cryptocurrency, right? It's a global network. So the SWIFT system is completely under control of the U.S. hegemony, and they can censor whatever they want, right? So these sanctions, or the power of these sanctions, are coming from there. So Putin is like, screw it, we'll use Bitcoin, and he essentially put in the rails in place already by saying, you know what, Bitcoin is legal currency to us now.
Man, there's so many. I mean, this is, guys, we're living in a very, very, very interesting point in history. The world has never been this interesting before. I'm just going through the comments on. Yes, it was Greenspan. It was Greenspan. However, I don't think Greenspan was. Greenspan was the beneficiary of what's his name, Volcker.
Yeah,
that's him, Paul Volcker. And I think it was everything that he set in, right? And Greenspan was the beneficiary of everything that he said and all of his hard work. And I think that's why America was able to actually, show that thing of strength when it came to defending Taiwan.
Yep, exactly.
But otherwise, Greenspan, yeah.
So
Paul
when
Volcker was the guy.
So when Greenspan came into power, when he was Fed chairman, a couple of things had already transpired in America, which was one, they had inflated a lot of their debt away, right? So World War II, USA had saddled themselves with debt as well, as usual. Every country does so during times of war. But then between 1945 all the way up to 1960, they kept inflating that debt away. Essentially, they allowed inflation to run high while keeping the yields on the bonds. Okay, so essentially, when we say they are inflating their debt away, guys, what do we mean? It's just like when you take a mortgage, right? You borrow money from the bank to buy your house. So you buy your house for, let's say, $1 million, okay, and out of that $1 million you've taken $800,000 of debt. But now inflation goes crazy and your house that was worth 1 million is now worth 5 million, right? So a lot of your debt has been inflated away. So usually, to keep this simple for you guys, interest rates will keep up with the rate of inflation, right? So what America did at the time was they kept interest rates capped while inflation was high. Because they kept interest rates capped, they never really had to pay the actual yield, or rather yield matched inflation, to the bondholders. So the bondholders got wrecked, and they inflated their debt away. They did this over the period of like 20 years. So by the time Volcker came into power, there was a lot of inflation, right? So inflation had gone crazy at the time, but Volcker had no debt to deal with, right? He didn't have any burden of massive amounts of debt. So he was able to increase interest rates at that point because all the debt was inflated away. I think debt to GDP ratio had come down to like, I think 40%, 45%. Currently, debt to GDP ratio is sitting at 125%, guys. So that's a big difference. So J. Powell can't really do what Volcker did and increase interest rates, right? So Volcker increased interest rates, right? Brought the inflation down and then handed off the reins to Alan Greenspan. So Alan Greenspan had like the perfect conditions, right? Debt was really low. Interest rate inflation was curbed, and he was able to literally do whatever he want and kind of maneuver the economy to his direction. So that was like the ideal situation for Alan Greenspan.
Exactamundo. Robert he's just like, so when do we get bedtime story videos of Sean explaining historic wars? I sit through them every day, Rob. I am a lucky girl.
There's always parallels that can be drawn from what's happening currently to all of these wars that happened in the past. I wish I could honestly just come on here and talk about history all the time, because I'm so fascinated with what has happened in the past, and the way it rhymes currently. It allows me guys to trade the markets with a lot more peace of mind. So I think these are important conversations to have, because it's what gives us edge in the market long term. Remember, guys, as retail traders, one of the biggest edges we have is our ability to withstand these moves, these volatile moves, without having any investors, right, in our fund calling us up and saying, what's going on with my money? What's going on with my money? What's going on with my money? We are able to manage our own money and say, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to sit through this and it's all going to be fine. So use that to your advantage, but you guys need to know what you're doing.
Yeah. And this is where knowing how to read the chart is going to be everything. And why is history like, and that's the thing, right, about history, and even when it comes to TA, these are all emotions. History rhymes because of that human emotion, that entire factor of human emotion that does not change over time. And that's why even things like technical analysis has lasted the test of time.
Yeah.
Right? It is something that has lasted the test of time while the whole buildup of the financial system has gotten even more complicated and complicated and complicated. The one thing that has never changed is human emotions. We tend to act the same way, and that's why history ultimately rhymes. And also that's why history is even a good subject to be learning, especially financial history. Now that you're in this phase of the market, this is where financial history is going to mean everything. Because once again, guys, it is going to rhyme because of the factor of human emotions.
All wars are because of finance. All wars are because of finance. All wars are because of either trade sanctions. So people think that these trade sanctions mean very, very little, right? They downplay it, but sanctions on trade can have disastrous consequences if you
Yeah.
really corner your enemy into a situation where they're like, you know what, I have my only way out is to invade, right? Like trade is everything. Like just think about Settlers of Catan, right? It's a game about trade. But you play Settlers of Catan enough with your friends, they turn into your enemies over time. Like you're gonna hate your friends after a while. Like if you guys play Catan enough, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Trade can cause a lot of anger. A really good example is Pearl Harbor. People think that, oh yeah, Japan attacked USA, such a stupid move to do, blah blah blah, and that essentially pulled USA into World War II, right? Pearl Harbor. But why did Japan attack USA? Because of trade sanctions. USA put like basically cut Japan off from oil. Okay, and very similar to, I mean, actually no, not similar at all, but in this situation, Russia has the oil and has the natural gas. But in the other situation, back then, during the Pearl Harbor, or rather, the Pearl Harbor incident took place because Japan was literally cut off and they were in a do or die situation where they said, okay, listen, we got to attack USA and wrap up this war within like 6 months or 3 months or something, because we're going to run out of oil. They were in a situation where they were going to run out of oil within 3 to 6 months. So they had to attack, and they had to do it suddenly, decidedly, and with conviction. But didn't pan out that way, and all they did was ended up pulling USA into the war, and that essentially tipped the tide of the battle in favor of the Allies. Who knows what would have happened if Japan stayed their hand and America didn't have a reason to enter the war. So again, like finances, trade, they decide everything.
So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here. It appears Russia is in a precarious position, where they're likely going to be strong-armed by many of the countries bordering it.
Julian says
way,
there was a superb TIP podcast last week about investing in Iran. It's difficult at the moment, especially for US people, but their stock market has been beaten. Has beaten SPX. Oh, has beaten. I thought you said has taken a beating over the last 13 years with sanctions. Huh.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Someone was talking about, I think this was a trade idea that was being, that did the rounds sometime last year.
Yeah,
I never
last
looked
year.
into it.
I was talking
But
about it.
yeah.
Yes.
You brought this one up to my attention, Sean. But yeah, I never really got in. By the way, 105 watching and only 44 likes. Come on, guys, y'all can do better. Tell us that you're liking this conversation. Let's get those likes up. This is a very interesting conversation. I am quite enjoying myself. Sean, what about you? He's got a smile on his face.
I'm having a great time. Yeah.
Take a breath.
Yeah.
I told him that we got back from the gym, so I'm sure everyone can cut Sean some slack here.
Do you guys want to talk about something in particular? Do you guys have any questions? Krisha's taking questions now. No, I'm kidding. I'll take questions too. But yeah.
Across Canada had said something. Are we confirmed that we are going for a mega crash? I'll say this, man. I think if the Fed comes out and says that they're not going to be tightening, right? If there's anything that even alludes to that, watch out. I think that could be a turning point, and that's where I will also be very, very cautious in expecting further downside from Bitcoin. In fact, further downside from the markets in general. So if they come out saying anything like that, that's when everyone needs to be a bit more cautious on the bearish end of things.
This is what I can tell you guys. I think by end of November, prices are going to be much higher than what they are right now. So if you guys treat this kind of like real estate and you were ever told, oh, you just buy and forget and hold for 5 years, here all you have to really do is hold for 5 to 7 months. You can't do that with leverage, of course. And of course, it's not a certainty. Nothing's a certainty, but I think there's a high probable trade that price could go down from here. And again, I'm not ruling out the idea of even 16K. But if let's go back to the COVID crisis too, right? If you had bought at around 10,000, okay, 10,000, and you got dumped on all the way down to 3,000, it would have been painful in the interim. But you go 6 months into the future. This is the weekly chart, right? So let's go monthly, and you go 6 candles into the future after COVID. So that's 6 bars right over here, and you're sitting in a profit, right? 11,000. Even though you bought at 10,000, you went all the way down to 3,000, and price rallied all the way to 66,000. So 6x, even though you faced a 50% drawdown first. So now think about that risk to reward ratio. People, when you are in a spot position, you can actually sit through the asymmetric trade opportunity of a 50% down move. Not saying you should. Okay, I'm not saying you guys should be doing that. Not at all. Especially if you're putting on leverage, do not do that. I'm talking about the advantage of being in spot because you're not at risk of getting liquidated. Because when you want to capture a 10x return, it is very, very unreasonable to not allow for a 10% volatility. Right? And people look for that. People say, you know what? I want a 10x trend trade, but even a 5% move against me and I'm out of the trade. That's not how you're going to sit through the ebb and flow of price, even on the way up. Even if you enter at, let's say, this spot here and price immediately starts moving up, okay, when the down leg does come on its way up further, you are going to get shook out over here because you mentally geared yourself to not allow for even a 5% or 10% move against you, right? So understand that Bitcoin is a really, really volatile asset, that even if it does move 50% down, it can move very, very fast, 500% up after that. And it usually does. After a huge capitulation move, within 6 months, you are in profit. So if there's a capitulation move, in my opinion, that is a buy, right? It's not gonna be easy. It's going to maybe take some time, but if you give it till the end of the year, I think prices are going to be much higher than where we are sitting at even now. So it's hard to explain this idea, but Kusha, could you help me out here?
No, it's gonna take some playthrough. But no, I mean I'm super super bullish on Bitcoin ultimately. So I'm in line with your thoughts, where I think that if you're sitting on spot Bitcoin, personally, I would not be selling here. I would not be selling here. No freaking way. Absolutely not.
There's monthly keys.
Anyone selling, if it drops further, you're gonna be selling to me. Cause I'm bidding every major level. Cause I completely believe that Bitcoin, I'm not sure by the end of November, I'm not gonna have timelines here for you, but I know by next halving, Bitcoin is gonna be the hardest asset on the planet. It is gonna be the hardest asset, and I'm not fighting against that.
Yeah, remember guys, we're 2 years away from the halving. Okay, 2 years away from the halving. I want to quickly highlight Krisha's idea to you guys. So Krisha had a idea where we may temporarily break past this neckline over here at around 30,000, okay? And instead of seeing the capitulation move that everyone's going to expect all the way down to around maybe 20,000, 14,000, personally, I think that there's a chance we come down to 14,000 if we break this neckline and we see a liquidity crisis, okay? A liquidity crisis. 14K is going to be such a massive buy, right, in that situation. But Krisha has a different idea. I want to highlight it to you guys because if it does come true, it's going to be a great call. She thinks that we stop halfway through around 25,000. And then the move after that is going to be literally like this. Right, like up, like, and I mean, not in a straight line, of course, but she thinks like price is going to run away from people after that. And Kusha, you were looking at Amazon, right? And I'm going to try to find that juncture when that happened on Amazon. Could help me out over here, Kusha, if you do remember where
Yeah,
it was.
I'm trying. Let me try
I
and pull
think
it
it
up.
was here. Was it? Oh, I think I found it. Yeah, I found it right here. We had a double top at around 2010, end of 2009. So this
Yes, yeah,
area here,
that was it.
we broke the neckline
June.
of the M, and then price just never came back down there after that. So she's looking for something like that. Again, history doesn't need to repeat exactly that, but she's looking for like the psychology. Like when Amazon put in this double. Remember, this was after the financial crisis. Amazon puts in a double top, and like it's kind of matching, right? Where Bitcoin just went through the COVID crisis, put in a double top after a run. So you could kind of say that this was the COVID crisis, rallies to 50,000, double top. Now we have a crisis unfolding at the moment, but the continuation doesn't come. Instead, we just... So just throwing this idea out there for you guys to
Yeah. So
ponder
imagine
about.
this. Okay, we break. Okay, say we break that M, and then what could be the catalyst? If Jay Powell comes out and says that,
Exactly,
oh, okay, you know
exactly.
what, we're going to back off. We're not going to be tightening anymore.
Yep.
The money supply remains the same. All of that was priced in terms of the rate hikes are likely going to start unraveling, and they're going to start undoing themselves.
Exactly.
Right. And we're going to see a bid come in for Bitcoin as well. So that's one thing so for those of you expecting a crash per se, if you're expecting that capitulation, keep your eyes on the money supply. Everyone talks about manipulation and all of these charts. But one thing that is manipulated, highly, highly manipulated, it is the money supply, guys.
Yeah.
They literally they control it, everything. The money supply is everything. The flow of money is everything.
Don't fight the Fed.
As soon as, do not fight the Fed. This is a very, very popular saying. And every time someone thinks that, okay, this time is different, it's likely that this time is not different. All right. So, careful of that. If there's anything that will turn the tide here, it's going to be the Fed coming out and saying that, hey, we're not tightening anymore. The current geopolitical affairs, the current turmoil is basically preventing us from doing so. And it's going to have negative impacts on the economy.
Ryan Lay says, you guys don't get it at all. Lol. Yeah, we don't.
So tell us what your hypothesis is. I don't understand. People come here and be like, all right, you guys don't get it at all.
These guys don't know what they're talking
about.
I mean, we're always open to hearing your thoughts and opinion, and even saying, you know what, you're probably right on that. But share your thoughts, man. That's all we're asking for is a conversation.
Yeah. Contrarian views are always welcome because you do not want to get stuck in echo chambers.
I've been wrong in the past, and I'm going to be wrong again in the future. That's for sure.
Also, Bitcoin is for us, it's a long-term trade. We're not trading Bitcoin on the ranges here. I am trading the altcoins right now, but Bitcoin is not a trade. For me, it's a long-term hodl. So every major level, I will be bidding. I think I've been clear about that.
Yeah. The thesis on Bitcoin is, you cannot argue the long-term thesis on Bitcoin, especially if you're trading it. If you are collecting Bitcoin for the next 8 years, you got to look at every major level as a buy opportunity for what could come, as in my opinion, is a high probable trade in 2024-2025 run, right? Leading into 50,000, we made it very, very clear over here at Mango that every dip that we do buy for spot is not going to be for a short-term move in the next year or so, right? Once we got to the $50,000 region, any buy over there, you could not possibly buy realistically expecting a move in the next 3 months or 6 months. Like a lot of people were saying, okay, we're getting to 100,000 for sure because of Plan B's model. We never subscribed to that model over here. We looked at it, we kept an eye on it because, hey, why not keep an eye on the prevailing narrative at the time, right? But we never ever bought with the idea of expecting Bitcoin to make a move very, very, very soon, right? We're like, okay, this is going to be a buy for 2024. So even currently, right now, if you guys are buying Bitcoin, right, understand that even in the past, while we were at the 10K Kijun area, or another really good way to look at it, guys, is just look at the 21 EMA. I'm just going to go ahead and pull up the 21 EMA. I think I have it over here. The 21 EMA. Historically, if you just bought around the 21 EMA, right, even at 6K, now keep in mind, if you bought over here, you were still fine. And I was telling Krisha this, because we were short here, right? Krisha and I were short here, and we benefited from this entire move. But I was saying Krisha this just yesterday. I'm like, you know what, Krisha? I remember when Bitcoin bounced all the way from 3,000 to 6,000, and we were like, man, all those fools who are now chasing price at 6,000 and buying at 6,000. I remember thinking those thoughts and even probably sharing those thoughts out loud with Krisha, maybe even with you guys. In the long run, leading into the halving, if you bought at 6,000, you are still sitting pretty. And you have to think back to those emotions that you had, that you felt 6,000 was a very, very expensive price for Bitcoin. I did. I remember thinking, damn, people chasing prices over here now, Jesus, that's really, really expensive, right? But in hindsight now, 6,000 is looking like a steal, right? And now you try to forecast that into the future because of the way Bitcoin is structured, and you start to get your emotions under control, and then you realize that, you know what, as long as I'm buying around this juncture over here, in the long run, it may come down, it may do a 3K kind of move. This is what I mean by the 3K kind of move, but I'm also expecting this in the future. Is that your thesis? Then even for that, you need an invalidation point. So yeah.
Validations are everything. Back under 30K, a few years. Sorry, I'm going through the chat, Sean.
Since you started the live stream, Bitcoin has dumped 4%. Again, man, like, I don't think you're understanding what we do over here at Mango. But yeah, if you're trading the lower time frames, you shouldn't be looking to, you should... You're probably in the wrong channel, man. If you're going to be trading the lower time frames and you're looking for the small moves of 4%, 5%, 10%, Bitcoin probably bounce 10%. You're going to feel really, really good about yourself. And you know what? If you're in a leverage trade, if you, for example, if you're 10x leverage and Bitcoin bounces 10%, that's a 100% move, right? So good for you. Good freaking trade. But 4%, 5%, 10%, 15, 20% too means nothing. Means nothing in Bitcoin terms, buddy. Means freaking nothing. Nothing.
Vic says, will the dump to 25K correspond with Krisha's birthday? I kid you not, this guy, like, I was on my computer today, and he comes in, he's like, Krisha, just watch your birthday lineup with the biggest dump ever. Or like, yeah. Always the markets always have to, like, there's always turbulence in the markets on my birthday for some reason.
I mean,
it is the weirdest thing.
That's reason enough to look for 14K, guys. Again, like I said, I think that if we crack underneath 25,000, right, I think there are going to be a lot of traders who are going to feel a lot of pressure because of their highly leveraged positions. And it is a really, really nice bet, in my opinion, to hold off and look for that 16K to 14K move. Like, if you catch a trade over there, if you catch either spot bid, or if you're smart enough with how you long over here, I don't recommend doing it unless you really know what you're doing. Because believe me, when I took that long over here at 3,000, when we had the COVID dump, my heart came in my throat at one point. I told you guys about that story. Like, the order book was empty. The order book was thinned out completely. I took a bid on the futures at 3,680 or something like that. And the next order underneath me was sitting at 2,400. I could have got my entire account wiped. So it does get scary. So be careful with the leverage trades. But if you know what you're doing, especially if you're using the risk management module, because at the time the volatility is going to pick up, be high enough that the RM should protect you, right? Especially the techniques that we use. So just be wary of what you're doing if you're putting on a leverage trade. But if I'm keeping some cash on hand for a spot bid over here, guys. Like nobody's expecting this. Nobody's talking about 14K. Nobody's talking about 16K, but I think it's a possibility.
Oh, yes. Things that are least expected. So far, Sean, I'm going through the chart, and my birthday is always lined up with either a massive dump to the downside, which seems to be winning right now, or a rally to the upside. Last March, I believe Bitcoin made its top. My birthday called the top. So yeah, March is it's a turbulent time. It's a lot of volatility. So yeah, keep your eyes.
Yeah, Krish's
on
birthday
the
is
chart.
always bad news. It's always bad news, right? Last time it was so 2020 it was
Wow.
COVID. 2021 it was the top. So like is this going to be the capitulation?
Hey, but the year before that was a 3K move. That was a quick move to 14K, 3K to 14K. My birthday marked the beginning of a fresh new cycle for Bitcoin.
Okay, so
And hey, I'm good news enough, all right?
That's true. You are. It's just so hard to be upset while the markets are dumping, because you gotta be happy that Krisha was born into my life, right?
My rule of set, who's this guy says, my rule of set for myself is to DC into painful drops and also set up some spot bids in hopes to catch a wick. That's a good, that's a pretty decent plan. Any painful drops is
Philippe has a good
bit.
question, Krisha, for you.
Oh, where?
Scroll up a tad bit.
Say that we recover even slightly from here to 36.7 to 37.6. Would you still aim for further downside first before going up? I'm saying that it's not gonna be bullish. So we could in fact see a recovery here. In fact, I would expect a recovery, even if we say we bounce at this level, Philippe. I totally see Bitcoin at the very least going up to that $40,000 region. Okay, but even if we do get there, I don't think it turns bullish. I think the main bullish notes comes in if we start taking out $48,000. Right, but before then, I mean, Bitcoin could still see a relief rally from here to say $40,000. But hey, we could still get rejected. So we still could get rejected. So it really depends on how we how Bitcoin reacts to high level resistance. So now, for instance, on the weekly time frame, we have the 21 EMA, we have the 10 SMA, we have a bunch of the cloud levels on top of us. So it's very important that we clear out those levels, because Bitcoin could rally, yes, but only to find resistance at those levels, right? So that could even be an opportunity for those actually looking to short. So it really depends on that. So even if we do get up there, I don't think we're turning bullish. These are all ranges to be had right now. In my opinion, I think Bitcoin, there are a bunch of range plays that people could take advantage of.
The week is closing in 3 days and the month is closing in 4 days. If the month closes, the month, in my opinion, to look for any upside move, guys, you need to not make the mistake I made and wait for the monthly to close above the Tenkin. Okay, so the Tenkin is coming in at somewhere around 39,300-ish. Yeah, somewhere around. Let me just pull up data window. Oops. That's 38,952. Okay, so 38,952. If the Tenkin closes above there, that's a good sign. Or rather, price closes above the Tenkin. So let's see what that lines up with on the daily. It doesn't need to do much, actually. It can literally close underneath the 21 EMA and Tenkin and still hold it as resistance and still close above the monthly Tenkin. No, the week closes on Sunday night, Dominic.
Interesting notes on the chart.
Alina says, can you review why 48K is that weekly level? 48K. Are you looking at my chart and
No, I think she's talking to me. I'm looking at the weekly cloud levels, Elena. So I think as soon as we start getting up over that, I'm looking at weekly cloud levels as well as price structure. So 48K is going to be the first criteria that I look for, right? I want to see a clean takeout of $48,000, and then I want to see price get basically put in an uptrend. So we're looking for a series of higher lows and higher highs on that. So I want to see that structure actually come in. At that point, I would totally see Bitcoin putting in an ascending triangle on the weekly time frame. Tell me if you see it.
No, that's essentially what I was going to talk about next. But I want to pull up something really quickly. I want to pull up Bitcoin against the money supply, and show
Oh,
you guys
yes.
the monthly never really made a high. I'm gonna look at it before the month closes. Kijun sitting at around 1.66. Okay, so Krisha is right on that ascending triangle idea, but keep in mind that the Tenkin and the Kijun are about to cross bearish. That's usually not a good sign for when Bitcoin does do that. So if Bitcoin does cross bearish on, or rather TK crosses bearish over there, I would like to see that TK close, or rather recross bullish above the cloud. It's going to take some time. So there's one of two things that can happen from this scenario. Okay, we rally to test the Tenkin Kijun. If we close above the Tenkin and the Kijun after Bitcoin rallies, then that's essentially going to be considered a defense of the bearish TK cross. However, if we find resistance there and then see a rejection, that's not going to bode well for the end of the year, in my opinion, because then we start seeing a head and shoulder structure instead of the ascending triangle structure that Krisha is talking about. Okay, so the ascending triangle structure would be essentially Bitcoin rallying somewhere around here, closing above the Tenkin and the Kijun, testing the top of the range. At that point, the Tenkin and the Kijun, even if they do cross bearish, they're likely going to cross bullish again above the cloud, giving us a double TK cross. And you guys know that we consider that bullish above the cloud, double TK bullish cross, essentially, because we cross bearish and then recrossed again, would be a very, very bullish sign. And we'd be looking towards 2023 having the rally towards the upside. But again, there's a lot of if this then that, right? There's resistance overhead, and maybe to be safe, guys, just look at the $50,000 region. It's a nice psychological region as well, easy to remember. The Tenkin's coming in over there. The Kijun is moving aggressive. So the Kijun, by the way, Lena, is coming in at 48,000, right? So the Kijun, the major level, is lining up with Krisha's key level. That was the major rejection that we did take too, right? We rejected off the Kijun as well before seeing that downside move to the bottom of the cloud. Held the top of the cloud very temporarily, but opened underneath it, saw the edge-to-edge trade. This was one of my biggest clues that my read on playing the 2-day was wrong, and that instead this was the time to be playing the monthly support and resistance, using the weekly as a booster to play the ranges, right? So essentially playing the range between the monthly support, monthly 10 SMA. I should have taken profits over there. Again, easier said than done in hindsight, but the clues were there, right? Especially in hindsight, when we saw the rejection of the Kijun as well, that lined up with the monthly 10 SMA. And then respecting key levels on the weekly, there was a good chance that the monthly Tenkin that I was hoping to be very, very easily claimed on this month was going to see some pressure. And now we're seeing that even though we lived above the monthly Tenkin for a good period of time, that monthly 10 SMA showed up, held price down, and pushed it back underneath the Tenkin. And now we might threatening to close underneath the 21 EMA and Kijun as well, in which case Krisha's $25,000 target would be what we're looking for next, right? So again, it's always if this then that. How this month close is going to tell us what to do. If we close above the Tenkin, then again we can look for that range trade again back to around 50,000, 48,000. Closing above 48,000, 50,000 on the weekly will be the first sign for further upside, but a lot of work for Bitcoin to do before that.
Yeah. And get this, Sean, the next FOMC meeting is next month, 13th of March. 15th, 15 and 16th of March.
That's
And
enough
they're
time,
already
right?
talking about instead of 1 basis point, there's a discussion on just increasing it by half a basis point.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that the chart is going to paint the picture. I think we're going to see the first signs of what the Fed might just announce on the chart.
Gold is doing well too. This is not an easy situation for oof. This monthly chart on gold is looking really, really, really good, Krisha. Look at the monthly, and wow, the daily, Jesus Christ, looking great as well. People are right. Gold is pumping. We posted about this on the Grove earlier this morning, but it's still going.
Peter Schiff must be a very, very happy man.
Yeah. So, I want to remind you guys that during or rather right after the COVID crisis as well, gold made new highs, right? So during this period here, let's go ahead and pull up the weekly. This entire run over here, right after the crisis, after the COVID crisis, gold dumped initially as well. It moved all the way down to around 1450-ish, and then it rallied all the way to 2000-ish, and it made new highs. That was what was really important, because it broke these highs over here for around 1850-ish, and at the time, Bitcoin was doing nothing. Bitcoin was consolidating between that $8,000 and $10,000 region. And a lot of people were like, what's Bitcoin doing? What's Bitcoin doing? Bitcoin has lost its narrative, blah, blah, blah. Bitcoin was forgotten. And then Bitcoin closed that monthly candle above 10,850. That's when I got really, really bullish. And Bitcoin just took off after that, right? But there was a good period of time until that October, the month of October, right? Where was October? In fact, yeah, somewhere around here. This is really interesting. So, Krisha, you're essentially seeing that Bitcoin's rally started only after gold topped. So, could that be another sign for us for when this rally on gold ends? Is that going to line up with Bitcoin officially starting its run? Okay, so remember, Bitcoin recovered to 10,000, but did not make new highs. Now, will we follow that same story over here, where gold goes on over here to make new highs, right? Drawing in a lot of attention. Bitcoin, all it does is just recover while the rest of the markets are maybe going crazy, going up, and Bitcoin not doing much. And then when gold tops, we start seeing Bitcoin get more attention again.
Right now, gold has a lot of boosters to it, right? Not a lot. At least the two that I can think of right now is war, and the second one being, well, the fact that we're in a phase of tightening,
Well,
right?
no. So here's the thing, right? Gold will not do well if the Fed promises to tighten, because then the it's about yield hunting, right? It's about yield hunting and matching inflation. If you know that you're going to get your yield to match inflation from the bonds, you're just going to buy bonds because they are high quality liquid assets, etc., etc., etc. But however, if you start seeing that, wait a minute, I'm not getting the yield I desire to match inflation, in that case, gold is expected to do well. So what could, and I'm glad you brought this up, Krisha, because what could be happening over here is that the market might be saying that we are expecting the Fed to reverse their posture on increasing rates, right? Because if we don't get increased rates, then the bond market is going to take a hit because the bond market is not keeping up. But then in that case, gold ends up being the inflation hedge. Gold is an inflation hedge only when the bond market isn't giving you high rates. If the bond market is giving you high rates, there's no reason to own gold, right? Because your bond market is essentially compensating you for the inflation. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Philippe has another question for you, Krisha.
Let's see it. One more question for Krisha. Yay! How do you come up with the thought at the start of Feb that if we lose a 3-day dynamic, we would not be closing the month green? Let's go ahead and look at the chart. So this was, I mean, I probably said it.
The 3-day dynamic?
Oh, yeah. Because I was looking at the major level that would say Bitcoin losing the three-day dynamic would be it showing additional sort of weakness on the chart.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was postulating that, okay, you know what, Bitcoin actually closing underneath the three-day dynamic means that it got rejected, and it's a pretty severe rejection at that too. So I was expecting it to come down to the bottom of its range, which it's currently sitting at right now, right? And Bitcoin doing that would essentially entail that the month closes red.
Mm.
Right, I was looking at price. I'm like, all right, we get rejected off of the three day dynamic. It means that we have a lower high that suddenly set in. So what would be the next potential move on the 3-day time frame? I'm like, all right, the next potential move would be Bitcoin actually getting down to the bottom of its range, which means that if I go ahead and mark out the bottom of the range there and I try and picture price there, get on over to the monthly time frame, I'm like, oops, Bitcoin closes red according to the monthly
Ah,
time frame.
yeah, that's
Right?
fair. That's
So
fair.
that's how. So I used the multi-time frame analysis, Philippe, to come up with that picture. Sometimes it's about picturing how the market is going to flow. So if you can picture it, and what I do to help myself, for those of you actually doing some TA seedlings, especially you guys, what I do is I mark out. I think of the potential play. I'm like, all right, Bitcoin got rejected at the three day dynamic, for instance. I look at the bottom of the range. I place a horizontal line at the bottom of the range, and then I get on over to my monthly time frame, and I try and picture the candle at the bottom of the range on the monthly. Right? And when I do that, I'm like, all right, so according to this, Bitcoin closes red. So
Yeah.
that's how I came up with that thesis.
At the moment, Bitcoin, unless it sees a recovery soon, we have 3 days and around 4 days to 3 days before we close major candles over here. It's not looking like the best picture.
Yeah, the monthly is not looking good at all. Sean, what level would you look for Bitcoin to recover if this has to close well on the monthly?
Tenkin. I'm looking at the Tenkin. Like not
Okay,
even the
monthly.
dynamic. Like the dynamic is a little bit more forgiving at around 37,000, 36,000. But I want to see close above the Tenkin now because
That would be like a doji, though. Do you see it? If it closes even slightly above the
that's fine.
Tenkin,
That's fine.
yeah, it would be indecision at that point, right? Because the bulls also came back with a bit of strength,
It
leading to the
show
end of that close.
Yeah,
So
it's showing that the
that could be a
bears
show
did
of
not.
strength. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Right. So if we put an indecision candle at the bottom of support, the next candle is definitely going to be really important. But either way, the bears are going to feel some pressure because
Mm,
you know.
yes. Yes. You have your game still on?
Oh yeah, I do. Do you want to play a quick game?
Yeah, let's play a quick game.
Yeah, you guys get to see Krisha kick my son Brawlhalla.
And almost never. Oh, he's too good.
What?
Sean's the gamer between us. I'm the egotistic.
This should go back to-
For me, my ego gets hurt very too much when it comes to these damn games. I suck at it. That's the worst part. It's a very, very bad mix.
Who needs to see the chart anyways, right?
Exactly. So in the meanwhile, you guys can think of questions. Even on the altcoins and stuff, my Cardano
So
analysis played out so well. I caught a bid, but I didn't catch a big bid. Not what my risk management sheet gave me because we were traveling. So I don't want to risk putting on a big position.
I'm just gonna go get a quick drink of water. I'll be right back.
Okie dokes. But we can talk, guys. We can talk. Hey, Mock is in here. What's cracking, man? How you doing? Mock the bot. Alina Cam says it is significant that it hasn't closed beneath the cloud. I think it is, Alina. I honestly think it is, because Sean and I, we were talking about our TA today. So Sean and I, we have this thing, we have a rule between ourselves where we will not sort of come in and, sort of sway the other person without the other person actually having conducted, their TA. So first we go dissect the charts individually, and then we come back to the table and we talk about, price action, what our thoughts are. That way we don't come in with biases, right? So Sean brought up the cloud to my attention, so that's something that I have to come to terms with. The cloud support is important support. And I don't know about you guys, but I feel like Bitcoin is more in equilibrium at this during this cycle, right, than in all the other previous cycles. Tell me if you guys see it too, or is it just me? Like look at all the other tops that Bitcoin has put in terms of the 20K top relative to its regions, its cloud regions. You'll see how out of equilibrium things were, right? Look at the BLX chart. I think that will give you guys a better sort of view on the whole idea of equilibrium when it comes to price relative to its levels. And I feel like this time around, it's not been as bad. I'm giving a bit of importance to cloud support on the weekly time frame. Can't ignore it. Cannot ignore the cloud. Every time I've ignored the cloud, I have paid a very, very heavy cost, a very heavy price. It's not worth it. Lucas says, "Want to play with us?" What are you guys playing? 2-month close. So Merle says 2-month close is also in a few days. Is it really? Nice. I know Sean sometimes looks at the 2-month closes. I usually look at the monthly and the quarterly close. I think that quarter close is very important. So Sean's been asking me, Krisha, what do you want to do for your birthday? I'm in two minds of saying nothing. Price always does something stupid on my birthday. Lucas says today's New York Open will be interesting. Why is it going to be interesting? Is there something that you're looking at? Any thesis that you guys have? Mox says Christian invite. Okay, Sean is hosting. I'll see if Sean can invite you. Do you have it downloaded, Mock? Krisha, what's your thoughts on levels should month close below? Honestly, I think if the month actually closes below the Kishin, this is going further down. I'm saying 24K. 24, 25K first stop. I think Sean might be right in terms of the Fed coming in. Like, just think of general economics, guys. Like, I don't know. The world is already in trouble. Their GDP, their debt is way, way, way over their GDP. It's not a healthy look for any economy at this point, right? Everything that they manage to recover with employment gets just washed away. They cannot afford that right now. Not with what oil is doing, not with the supply chain things. That's still a problem. Like I've been trying to get my hands on the PS5. All the best. Any of you guys have problems with getting the PS5?
You should check out Netflix's shot. It looks so ugly. Like,
you know who got wrecked? I feel like this quarter, it was Ark.
Yeah,
I think
Ark's getting destroyed.
Kathy Wood is getting all of her biases checked here.
Oof! It closed underneath the weekly 200. Holy shit!
What are you looking at? What are you looking at?
This is first
Ark?
Ark, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Innovation
Yeah, because
ETF.
think of all her trades, right? She was the whole thing with oil actually finding resistance and all of that. I think she has
been
good
calling
information, but
she's been calling top on oil for like 1 year now, and it just keeps going on.
yeah, she's got a good information, but I feel like she comes in with way too many biases.
Can't talk shit about Ark.
I really like her.
Everyone wants to talk shit about Ark when they're down. No, everyone's gonna shut up when they're up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bitcoin starts running, Ark is gonna freaking have a mega run.
Okay, so you want to do 1v1 or you want to go against? Oh wait, I heard you mention Mock.
Yeah, Mock wants to play. He says he has it installed.
So join Mock. You can join lobby.
He says, Sean, open up the room for 3 people. Guys, let's place bets. Who wins?
Okay, I'm creating a room. Private room. So can you guys join?
Morley, we're all dead. We're a family of deadlifters in here. Compound exercises over all else because we're usually also very we always look for the shortest path to gains.
This game is Brawlhalla. We used to play this during the last bear market as well, on stream. You guys can join. I think it's free on Steam. I'm not sure. Chauvin, this is the game I asked you to install. So we'll the reason I copy. What? Kusha, you joined twice.
Did I really?
Okay.
Oh, it's the join. Beautiful. BEA beautiful.
Thou.
There you are. Let's go.
Let me know if the thingy is too loud, guys. I'll just adjust.
We thought we'd have some fun today. Play some video games.
Because the stream
it's
can
been a
last
while.
Oh wow, it was so random.
Oh.
Do you guys have separate portfolios? Yes, we do. We do. We needed to because we would get into arguments.
3,
Oh, man.
2, 1, brawl.
Those are real. Sean and I, while we have similar interests, sometimes our personalities, they vary, you know? And it's the worst when you're trying to trade someone who has different
Holy shit!
personality.
Marco's hustling us. He knows how to play. Look at him. Oh, look at him go. Kusha and I have different trading personalities. She's a range trader who buys at resistance and sells at support.
Wow, hater.
And I'm a trend trader who loses all my money.
Get out of my way, y'all.
I lose most of the time.
I'm coming for you.
Win once every now and then. It's pure luck. And then people think I'm a good trader. And it's literally pure luck.
I love these fast games.
Mark knows how to play. Eh? He's been practicing. You can tell. Look at him. Jesus. So guys, I'm the white dude. I mean, you guys know what I mean. Krisha's the blue dude, the blue girl, and Mark is green. Mark is, by the way, the dashboard developer, one of the dashboard developers. Oh, wow, Krisha.
Oh, did I hit you with the bomb?
No. So I threw the bomb at Mark, and then you rebounded him back at me.
Oh, shoot.
Oh my god. Oh god. That was funny.
Quit spamming. Quit spamming.
Jesus, we gotta get rid of Krisha, Mark. We gotta get rid of Krisha. Just go for Krisha. There she is. Look at her. She's just one hit away. Oh no! Oh,
Die.
Okay, I only one life, guys, and Krisha has 3. So I'm just gonna play defensively now. Yes!
Oh, shit. Ah. Are you guys into world building games or like one of these quick? I'm coming for you, Mark. It's my kill. Are you trying to prevent me from getting Mark?
There are no kills, Krisha. You just it's whoever survives at the end of it all.
You see, I'm so clueless.
Oh, nice work.
Wow, that was a good one, man.
Oh, I gotta play safe. We gotta get Krisha. She's gonna win, dude. Just stop hitting me. Get Krisha.
Oh, wow.
She always does this. She pretends to be bad at the game.
Oh.
Good job.
Damn it.
If she comes up, I'll get her. Just chase her up. No, no, don't cover me. Dude, we're on the same team, man. Leave me alone. Yeah, good job, buddy. Nice. Okay, now it's a bit more fair. We're all one life away.
Wow, Sean, wow. You could have made this a 1v1.
No, I like this. Oh my god, dude. Dude, Mock. I'm your mentor, man. How do you do this to me?
Oh wow. Don't let him guilt trip you. Sean's just like, how could you do this to me?
I will let you die on hook when we play DB next. No. Oh, oh, it's getting tight. Nice. Okay, it's 1v1 now. Let's go, Krisha. Let's go.
Is it really?
Mock has been eliminated.
See,
Oh,
Mark?
shit.
Don't listen to Sean.
Krisha's too good at the... Okay, let's go. Sword versus sword. Oh, that was close. Oh! Oof. No! Oh my god. Got her axe now. Kusha's dangerous with the axe. Yes!
No! No!
Oh! How do you survive that? Okay. Oh my god.
No! See what you did, Mark? See what you did?
The hammer's really hard to play.
And he's like, oh man. That was close though. Good game. Good game, guys.
Alright, back to the charts now.
Now let's go back. The hammer was so bad. Lol. Yes, it was.
The hammer's really hard to play.
Oh, Garima was betting on me. Damn it. Garima, how are you doing now? How you been? How you been? That was me too, Garima. I was when I first started playing Brawlhalla, Sean just kept kicking my ass, and he's not the kind of guy be like, "Oh, I'll let my girl win." No, no, no. He's like competition first.
That's not true at all. I let you win for the like first month or so, and then you got really good, and I tried to win, and you kept beating me. That's the thing, guys. You can't let Kusha get good. Alright, Kusha, let's talk about some lower time frame trade opportunities for Bitcoin. Do you see any lower time frame support underneath us? Do you think Bitcoin's going to reverse over here? What are your thoughts on that?
Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. You want me to look at the lower time frames and tell you if Bitcoin is gonna reverse?
I think there's potential bounce opportunity over here for traders.
Yeah,
somewhere around
yeah, I think
35,700ish. Let's look at the oscillators. There's some honestly some bearish divergence over here, but we did already see that pull back. We could come down a bit further to around 34,672 on the 4 hour. What are we seeing? Bullish divergence. Yeah, there's bullish divergence over here, shaping up over here on the 4 hour. Do you see that, Krisha? Actually pretty strong.
Yes.
On the 12 hour too, yep, there's a chance of bullish divergence on the 12 hour. Oscillators are crossed up and threatening to cross down, but if we do start seeing a bounce over here, 12 hour bullish divergence with the backup of 4 hour underneath it, also showing bullish divergence on the daily time frame. There's no divergence over here. Actually, no, it's too far away. Okay, let's go on over to the 2-day and then the weekly after that. You don't want to be checking every time frame. The 2-day is not showing anything interesting. No, not really. Let's see how Actually, yeah, again, it needs some more time though. But there's potential bullish divergence between this area here and this area here if we do see the bounce. So the 4-hour leads. So this is how you see these stories play out, guys. Okay, note this down. Note this down. This is one of the trade opportunity ideas, kind of like I gave you guys one for the Ichimoku on the last stream. This is one. When you start seeing 4-hour bullish divergence, essentially lower time frame bullish divergence, cascade on over to the daily bullish divergence. Okay, so the 4-hour will have the push up, triggering the daily bullish divergence, but then you're going to see a pullback. Then the daily bullish divergence will trigger. You'll see the daily start showing its upside move then, because remember, the magnitude of the move is going to be different in each case. Then the daily is going to see some resistance and pull back, but then by that point, you might see the 2-day time frame show its bullish divergence, right? So now you have the 2-day bullish divergence, and then the final piece of the puzzle is usually on the high time frames, the weekly or sometimes the bi-weekly, but let's go ahead and look for any signs. And we do have, again, signs of potential bullish divergence forming on the weekly. So you're seeing the cascade show up, right? 4-hour on over to the daily, then it needs to show up on the 2-day, and then the 2-day into the weekly. Those are one of the key signs that you look for a potential longer term reversal, at least to the top of the range over here, eventually. But at minimum, if we do see that trigger, I'll be looking for 45,000 to around 51,000, a move to that region. Again, that's that major resistance level that needs to be claimed. If we do claim that level on the weekly, I'll be looking for Bitcoin to test the top of the range again. Now, at the top of the range, we really need to see what Bitcoin does, right? Because I'm not entirely convinced that Bitcoin does see a immediate break of the range. If we do make our way to the top side, we could come down a bit more after that, and then, so yeah. Does this make sense? Did you guys hear me, or was I muted this entire time? Krish has muted at the very least. I can't hear her anymore.
Oh, there.
Okay, yeah.
No. I think that's a good sort of trade idea that you have there. Also, like, I think this is a good juncture for a bounce opportunity, perhaps, because also weekly cloud is we're sitting on weekly cloud, and I think yeah, we could see some pickup. I think that the 12-hour, depending on how the 12-hour reacts off of and what we close the 12-hour, guys, in about an hour and a half, less than an hour and a half. I'm saying that we close underneath, and yeah, we close underneath 33.6K. We likely have some further downside to go.
If the 12-hour closes underneath 36K?
33.6K.
Okay.
Right, so that's the level that I'm looking at. I'm not saying it's going to be capitulation sink, but it'll probably be sort of another dip, perhaps to $31,000. 31, yeah.
Yeah, it's not
At
gonna
the
look
very
good.
least.
If we
So,
start
it's not
seeing
gonna look good.
see a daily candle close underneath 29,000, Kusha, do you think we stop at 25 after that?
If we see a what? Say that again.
Daily candle close underneath 29,500.
Yeah.
She's
Something
saying
25K next stop, man. 25K next stop, definitely. Okay, so let's talk about so I want everyone to pitch in now, okay? Think about it. If you have to just, take a step back and just think about it. What would be max pain for most people? For you, what will be max pain? What would you consider max pain? Sean, what would you consider max pain? For you and for the market.
I've been thinking about so many scenarios over here, so it might not be the best. I think, okay, for the market, I think max pain is either up over here, immediate up, or 16K. I just don't see 20K, 25K being a gift that everyone's waiting for it. I think 16K max pain, and the next max pain scenario is Bitcoin dominance. It's actually not even up. That's too straightforward. I think it's Bitcoin dominance. Look at Bitcoin dominance at the moment, for sure. It's like, what if this goes out of control? Like, because I think everyone's under positioned on Bitcoin. If you think
Yeah,
about
yeah.
the poll that we've conducted as well, you think about many of the VC investors who are primarily in Ethereum and altcoins. The exposure to Bitcoin is becoming Bitcoin's underrepresented. Now, again, that's a bit of a contrarian idea, and I think if there's a rush for everyone to gain their Bitcoin positions back, everybody's trying to chase Bitcoin to get their position back because they were trying to chase altcoins only to get into Bitcoin. That could lead into some massive FOMO. We do have the El Salvador. Everyone's wondering, right? How much is El Salvador gonna get for their bond offering? Are they going to be oversubscribed? Are they going to be undersubscribed? If they end up being massively oversubscribed, that could also be another catalyst to add on over to the narrative flip on the Fed switching their posture to dovish. Again, these are all assumptions. We don't know if any of this is going to come to fruition, but if it does and nobody's talking about it, nobody's expecting it, and all comes in together, the narrative of Bitcoin could get so strong that could lead to FOMO, right? Again, narrative leads everything. And at the moment, if everyone's already positioned into altcoins, where is the marginal buyer going to be, or the marginal bid for further upside going to be coming from?
Yeah.
Right. So I think a massive pain is going to be Bitcoin up, altcoin sideways.
Man, I'm still looking at some of these altcoin charts, and I feel like there are so many coins out there that are just so freaking overvalued at this point. So I'm
Yeah,
looking at that. I'm like, I feel like
look
the
at
alts have
Solana,
more
right?
pain to endure.
Like if you look at Sol USD, Krisha, for example, and you look at Bitcoin, Sol USD actually came down to around 75-ish right today. Yeah, it did. It looks like it wants to see further down. It's broken a major level, and it wants to see further down to around 49.50, right? Bitcoin is holding those levels. Now, Bitcoin may see some pressure and break down to the 30K region, but unless it really loses that level as well, it's not under that serious pressure of losing its structural consolidation area, right? Now, its consolidation area is massive, granted, but coins like Solana, even Avalanche, I believe, have. Let's check Ava. I don't think Ava has broken structure, actually. No, Avalanche has not broken structure, so this is another one to keep an eye on. But then Cardano has, right? Cardano has lost at a major level of $1. ATA USD. Let's use Binance USDT Binance, right? It's sitting on 4-day support over here, 200 moving average, but again, it lost structure in a major way, right? Around that $6 region level, and now it looks like it wants to see further continuation all the way down to around 37, maybe even 19 cents. Seems ridiculous, but it could get down there. Bitcoin is not showing those signs yet. But if you see a massive move to, let's say Cardano makes its way down to 16 cents, is it unfathomable that Bitcoin does not get down to 16K?
No, it's
What
not. That's why I wanted to sort of talk about the altcoins as well, right? So I feel like there are a couple of plausible scenarios that could play out just by looking at the Bitcoin dominance chart. Now we're seeing that Bitcoin has the edge here as far as the Bitcoin dominance chart is concerned, telling us that hey, Bitcoin is likely going to be the stronger sort of asset in this current phase, right? So at what sort of so in what circumstances does Bitcoin dominance really go up? In what circumstances does Bitcoin actually rally? So I think the one that could see Bitcoin rally is if Bitcoin actually goes sideways, wherein it actually holds its current support that it's sitting on, right? And the altcoins, however, dump further to the downside.
Yeah.
Right. That's one instance in which Bitcoin dominance could rally. The other instance where Bitcoin dominance could rally is if Bitcoin does lose its level, okay, say Bitcoin actually does take that dump to the downside, and let's, for instance, say that Bitcoin manages to get down to that $25,000 region, which in my opinion is going to be the next major region of support that we have underneath us. All right, let me go ahead and take that move for the Bitcoin's chart. I'm looking at the 200. The 200 is currently coming in at 20K, but I believe the 200 EMA is coming in at around 25.5K. Okay, from where price is at right now, 225.5K. That's a good 27% to the downside. So one way in which Bitcoin dominance could rally is, yes, Bitcoin takes a dump to the downside. However, the altcoins are going to take even a bigger dump than just 27% to the downside. Okay, so while a Bitcoin may do 27 to the downside, the alts might do a 50% to the downside. That's another instance wherein Bitcoin dominance rallies.
Yeah, I see it. I
Right.
see
So
it.
so what that is really telling us is that, hey, like if you guys are wondering, okay, where's right now, where's your money best stashed? If you're just looking at the cryptocurrencies, it's Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to be the top performer here right now, as far as preservation of its value is concerned.
Well, that would be USD actually. So,
Yeah, right now I'm talking about just if you're just looking at plain crypto market right now, or
that's
even
fair.
held
That's fair.
stable coins, you know.
The 200
But
exponential moving average is lining up with your $25,000 target. So there's that
yeah,
support.
so yeah, that's pretty much where I'm getting it from, in addition to other sort of tools and techniques that I'm using. But yeah, 25K is the next major
So what if
major stop.
we could see a wick down to this zone that I have marked out, maybe even the 200 moving average? That wouldn't be too surprising, right? We've seen that before historically, where we do close about the 200 exponential moving average on the weekly, but we do see a capitulation wick or a liquidation wick where people were forced out of positions and then buyers came in and bought. That's honestly what I'm looking for. That kind of pain where people are forced to sell and market comes in really quickly and want to buy that. I don't know if we get it, of course. That's like a low probable situation with high reward, right? Low probable situation with high reward, very little to lose by keeping some dry cash, hoping for that trade. But I see the 200 exponential moving average, and I see your trade idea unfold in my mind right now, and I think that you might actually be onto something over there when you take into consideration the Bitcoin dominance chart. Right, let me pull it up. Bitcoin. So guys, what Kusha's saying is that altcoins, the Bitcoin dominance chart could go up, and it's currently trending towards the upside, right? Especially on the daily, etc. It's on an uptrend. You're seeing that one of the reasons Bitcoin might not be seeing so much pressure is because people are selling their altcoins into Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is considered safer than altcoins, so you're seeing that market consideration right now as well. While USDT is an option, some people rather just be in Bitcoin. So people selling their altcoins into Bitcoin may prop Bitcoin's price up. But then if it's strong enough, we may actually see Bitcoin rally harder than altcoins. That again is a big if. If that then does happen, the narrative may shift and you'll start seeing people scramble for scramble to get back into Bitcoin because they're short Bitcoin, essentially short their core allocation. That could cause a massive rally. So
Yeah. So these are all the plausible sort of scenarios. But right now, I think, these are my major targets. 25,000 coming down to 20,000, which is also, if you notice, the 200 simple moving average. I think that's had great playthrough in the past. So that's another region that I'll be looking at. It's a $5,000 range, $4,000 to $5,000 range. But
Dixie is going up, gold
wow.
is going up. So really,
wartime charts, guys.
Yeah. Pay attention, guys.
And
Pay
someone
attention.
asked, someone in the group right now, Pat, when is the Fed's announcement due date? That happens on 15th and 16th of March, and
Gold is
that is going to be a very, very critical meeting that everyone should have their ears out for. Gold
look at
is
gold.
rallying. I think it's going to go for its highs. Honestly, it's actually looking like it wants to go back up to its highs.
It's 2075, right?
Yeah, 2050, 2075.
It's looking strong.
Look at
Jeez.
it. Just look at that candle on the
Yeah,
weekly. That's insane. Guys, we close. Okay, let me say this. We close over 1,965 on the weekly time frame. Gold is clear to get up to the next level. The next level only comes in at $2,000.
I mean, if the daily closes here, that's gonna be a major break. By the way, if the daily closes, no, I'm wrong in that. The daily needs to close above 2,000. So, yeah. I think Krisha's right. The weekly is the key level at around 1,966 for sure. Is that what you're looking for?
Yes, that's it.
So yeah, it's living above that zone at the moment.
Yeah. So keep your
if-
eyes
if
on
you-
that for those of you playing gold.
If you look at the 15-minute chart, Krisha, you're seeing it. You're seeing a trend right now on the 15-minute time frame. It's actually I put in a bull flag on the 15-minute. It broke out and it's just going. So it actually drawn a
Trending
measure
on the
of it.
15-minute, gold is trading like a shitcoin right now. I mean, look at that beautiful ascending bull flag that I put in.
It has a measured move for around 1980-ish gold, 1975. So it has a little bit more to go. Do you guys want to look at any coins or all coins or assets before we leave?
Yeah, it doesn't only have to be crypto. If there's any other sort of traditional chart that you guys are looking at as well, we can look at that too.
Nvidia, AMD not doing as bad as the rest of the market.
Well, at least freaking chips get cheaper. Such a massive shortage of that too. Bear market confirmed. Bear market was confirmed like a while ago, man.
I mean, I'm laughing not because that was a stupid question. It's because it's not confirmed for me. It depends. Again, that's a really it should. I mean, I was wrong is what I was trying to say, because I did. Let's do an update on my long trade, right, guys? Like I'm supposed to give you guys an update on that. I did take a loss on my trade, of course. Let's go ahead and talk about where I went long and where I took my loss, etc., etc. So we went long here on my first position, and then I added to my position on this level around here, somewhere around here, right? Looking for continuation towards the upside. Of course, we did not get that. I was looking for a 2-day daily candle close underneath the dynamic. Now, I could have gotten out over here when we had the move to retest the 2-day dynamic, but unfortunately, I was traveling. I was on a road trip, so when we did get the 2-day candle close, I couldn't risk being in position while not being able to close my position, right? So essentially, here's the thing. If you're too busy, just rip the bandage off and take the loss, right? So that's what I had to do. I had to literally sell right on the candle close. Took the loss immediately, and then price rallied and gave you guys, for those of you who are actually putting on the same trade, gave a really nice retest of the 2-day dynamic. And you're going to often see this happen, right? Not all the time, which is why you need to be at your computer trading, or rather diligent when getting out of a position like that, because if you start seeing pressure on your position, you need to get out. But over here, I missed that exit. That was a really clean exit. So yeah, I took the loss over here. I was looking for this move over here, but my mistake, or again, I'll tell you guys what I was looking for. Or rather what I was gambling for, right? Which is why I did not put on, usually you guys see that I take on 3 positions, right? 3 positions. But this time I took on only 2 positions for my trend trade, even though we had a better entry over here at the bottom of the 2-day dynamic. I think that's where Chauvin got in on his trade. I did not take that position. Why? Because I was feeling very hesitant on this weekly resistance that we had over here, right? Weekly resistance at around 46,000-ish, and monthly resistance, which was the major one at the 10 SMA. Let me pull it up. Not this one over here. Okay, yeah. So we had the weekly resistance and we had the monthly 10 SMA, and I was even telling you guys throughout the trade that, guys, yes, I am long, but we have resistance here. Like, I was telling you guys that. Now, what I should have done, this was where my mistake was, in my opinion, and moving forward, I'll watch myself. But again, it's a gamble, right? We did not close above the monthly Tenkin. We were living above it, but we did not close above it. Now, I was banking on that monthly Tenkin to be reclaimed, but the more prudent approach would have been to wait for the monthly Tenkin to be claimed before looking for trend trades. So while that trade was a good trade, I should have been trading the range, right? It was a better trade. Like, you can use the higher timeframes, guys, to trade the mid to low timeframes. And trade the range, right? Trade the range. Use your high time frame levels. So over here would have been essentially Kijun support, Kijun 21 EMA support, and you trade the range to the next monthly level, which would have been the 10 SMA. And you also have confluence with your weekly Kijun coming in right over there, which is where we saw that rejection, right? Now, again, this is in hindsight. And I started thinking about all of these things after I put on the trade. And you can't question yourself once you put on your trade. I put on the trade and had to stick to, I had to stick with it no matter what. Okay, no matter what. It didn't go my way, but it could have, right? So once you put on your trade, you put on a plan and then you trade the plan. Period, right? Period. Nothing doing. You do not change your plan after. You take your loss and you can get back into another trade after that, but you just trade your plan. That's what defines you as a trader. Not your ability to make profits, but your ability to follow your plan, right? Because that way you're divorcing yourself from the emotions that comes with this game, and that can be detrimental to your long-term performance. So yeah, that's essentially my trade. Now we're sitting at the bottom of weekly with the weekly cloud, but Krisha's right that you could have essentially called bear market as soon as we Krisha, where would you call bear market? Underneath that you're muted, by the way, Krisha.
Oh, sorry. December 1st, 2021, when we lost the monthly 10 simple moving average, that was your call on bear market territory.
Yeah, so when we did lose the monthly 10 SMA, we were looking for that move down to the weekly Kijun and weekly Tenkin. But at the time, I didn't call it bear market. Maybe that would have been appropriate. Again, what is someone else's bear market could be your bull market, depending on the time frame you're playing, right? And we were looking for a bounce off the 21 EMA and the Kijun, and then continuation, right? But we got the bounce of the 21 EMA Kijun, did not close over the Tenkin. I was looking for that this was my idea. I was like, okay, if we close a 2-day candle above the 2-day dynamic, I think that 2-day dynamic uptrend is going to be enough to clear the rest of the levels on the monthly candle to come, right? Clearly, I was wrong on that, and the market is always correct, and that's where TA is so important, because the market knows way more than the news lets on, right? The market knew that, hey, there's a lot of pressure coming in from so-and-so forces, Russia, this, that, and collectively, all the information that the market has is being shown on the charts, and they sold into that opportunity at the 10 SMA, the weekly Kijun, etc., because the collective market forces believe that we are going to be seeing more bearish news coming, and market's always right, which is why TA is a risk mitigating tool, right? So when were we wrong? As soon as we close underneath the 2-day dynamic. Now think about this, guys. Let's say I did not take my loss, right? Let's say I got egotistic, I got stubborn, etc. Think about the pain I would have been sitting in today. I'd been sitting here today all day, waiting for a bounce. Oh my God, I can't do this anymore. Like that kind of pressure you don't want to sit through. So you always take your loss and get out of the trade. You feel like you want to get back in on another trade idea, write down that trade idea and trade that plan. Yeah, hope you guys learned something from that. Any questions on that?
Boomba. Always follow your plan. Tan asks, he has an economics question. Do you know what factors affects national currencies? I can only think of currency supply as one of them. Have tried researching it before, but can't find much about it. Also demand, right? Demand also, and demand stems from trust. You need to trust these currencies because the currency is no longer backed by any sort of, it's not backed by any hard asset. So the trust in the currency also is very key, and that is also what drives demand, not just local demand, but also international demand. People are more likely to even accept it for trade. So it's that sort of those kind of things that affect currencies. Now, take for instance, recently because of Canada's laws and freezing of accounts and stuff, their foreign investment dropped.
Yeah.
Right? Foreign investment dropped in Canada because of what they did with the whole Emergency Act and freezing accounts for a reason that was just not good enough. So that, and you know what? I was actually going through Reddit to see what people had to say about it. And even though people politicize the entire affair in Canada, wherein they're like, oh, it's left versus right, and these guys are far right people, all of these protesters, all these truckers, they politicized the entire thing. However, when I went on Reddit, I noticed that even the far left people, people who would vote for Trudeau any time of the day in a heartbeat, they'd vote liberal, right? They'll vote for that left wing. Even they were feeling antsy about the freezing of accounts. Even they were not okay with it. So when you find the majority saying that, this is a red flag, right? That is also going to drive down something like demand. People are more likely to sell the currency that they have only to get out, to withdraw from Canada. Holding any sort of national currency is you having stake in that country, in that country's currency. And if you stop trusting it, you're less likely to hold it.
So yeah, Kusha pretty much nailed it right over there. It's all about trust. So you got to ask yourself that question, Tan. What factors would lead you to trust the currency more? One of the things that strengthens a currency, that increases people's trust in the currency, is that currency, or rather that country, holding a lot of reserves of a stronger currency on their balance sheet, right? So if a country is holding a bunch of gold reserves, USD reserves, euros, Swiss francs, etc., and they're not solely relying on only their ability to print in a currency crisis, right, or in any crisis that their country undergoes, then there's more faith that the currency is backed not just by the country's ability to be economically productive, but also by the fact that they are holding a lot of reserves back in their currency. For example, in the future, maybe Bitcoin might strengthen a country's trust factor, right? At the moment, the bond market, or rather the world, the sovereign market players might be looking at a country who holds Bitcoin as a riskier currency because they're being a little bit financially imprudent, right? Again, this is their perception, not mine. But again, it depends on perception, what the market perceives as a weaker approach to managing your long-term affairs with the country. So again, it's the country's ability to withstand a crisis that strengthens a currency. So yeah.
Well, sure. Let's take some more. Sonic Freaks asks thoughts on
Also things
Ethereum.
like sorry,
Go.
just to
No,
wrap
go,
that up, things like the amount of debt that the government has, the amount of personal debt that the people have, right, and then the amount of corporate debt, those things again. And what do those things all imply? It implies the greater the debt that a country has, the government debt, sovereign debt, greater corporate debt is, the greater personal debt is, the more vulnerable a country is to a crisis, right? You see massive financial crises only when there is too much debt, right? Either personal debt, like the 2008 financial crisis, corporate debt recently just leading into nobody's talking about this, but leading into the COVID dump. There was massive amounts of corporate debt, which is why the Fed had to literally buy junk bonds. They were forced to buy junk bonds because if they didn't, things could have unraveled to a point where it would have been irrecoverable, right? The bond market completely seized up. It stopped functioning. It was just illiquid. So the Fed was forced to save the day by providing liquidity to the corporate market, junk bonds as well. So the Fed has the reason the US dollar is still holding, and it did not hold as well back then. The reason the US dollar has strength is because it has the backing of the Fed, right? Not every country, especially emerging countries, has a central bank that they can rely on. For example, a lot of European countries have the euro to rely on, right? The entire idea that there are other countries that could step in and help them out. So again, all of these factors get accounted for. So Canada does not have the same thing as a lot of European countries, which is why Canada's CDS ratings are around 3 to 4 times higher than that of America, right? So Canada is actually rated as a higher risk asset in terms of their bond market than USA by 3 times riskier. So take that look, and it's equivalent to that of Portugal and Spain. Just keep that in mind. They're being rated side by side. So
It's crazy to think of it, actually. Supposed to be a G7 first world nation. So I'll just take a couple of altcoin requests here. So, who was that? Sonic Freak asks thoughts on Ethereum. I'm currently in an Ethereum short position. I never closed half of that out because I never got invalidated, which is good. Ethereum is currently sitting on support though, but I'll say this, as soon as we start closing candles underneath 2,330-ish, I'm saying likely going to get to the bottom of the range, which comes in at around 1,940. But yeah, that's the next major region of support. What is that move? Well, that's going to be a good, what was that? It's a pretty decent move. 17% to the downside. But currently sitting on support. So wait, if you're looking to position, wait on the break before you position.
So your targets are what?
So
1,940?
if we break this region right here at around 2,330, I'm saying all the way down to 1,930.
Okay, yeah, something around there too. 2,000-ish.
Lindeka asks, so I'll just be taking a few altcoins, guys, and then we can wrap it up.
Yep.
Luna, so Cardano. Cardano, I think I did a video not too long ago. That actually, wow, that played out to the T. But anyways, the next region for Cardano, Lindeka comes in at 70 cents. And I think
Cardano's
we're
not
getting down
looking
there.
good. Yeah. Cardano's not
Cardano's
looking
not
good.
looking good. And the thing is that I got the first inklings of further downside for Cardano because I stumbled upon the Cardano Reddit and people are still awfully bullish on this chart. I'm just like, there's no way. And even the ones who were thinking to sell, they were being bashed by the rest of the Cardano Reddit community. And usually when you see these echo chambers form, especially in a prevailing downtrend, there's a lot more capitulation left to happen. At least that's
Jesus.
something that I learned from the last bull market. So 70 cents, Lindeka is going to be the next region for Cardano.
I mean,
And this could drop further. If panic settles in, you guys need to understand the thing with altcoins. If you see more panic on the charts, there can be a bigger bleed that comes in. Okay, so do not underestimate that. Do not try and catch bottoms here. That's the worst thing that you can do. Especially do not catch bottoms on leverage. Please don't do that to yourselves. Like this can get bad. Like we've seen wicks on Bitcoin's chart that go, that's a good 25%. 25% on the wick, guys. Right? You do not want to be sitting in a leverage trade on a 25% wick because then if your risk management is not on point, you're suddenly at risk of getting liquidated. That is equity gone, lost. You literally just flush it down the toilet. All right, so don't do that.
this is pointing down to 40 cents. If it takes out that low at 70 cents, I don't know whether it even stops at like.
I'm
Jesus,
using other certain yeah, this is a volatile zone, Lindeka. So even 70 cents is a pretty I'm being conservative with that.
yeah.
I'm being
This
extremely conservative.
this could go down
The
deep.
real it's 40 cents. 40 cents is the next real target.
How much is that percent-wise?
It's insane. It's insane. Like this was a brilliant short. I didn't get a good enough position because we were on the road. But from where price is at right now, 240 cents, that's another good 47% to the downside. And hey, you know what? We're seeing Bitcoin dominance even allude to these moves, right? That the alts are actually bleeding. The one trade I feel really bad about was Matic because I got invalidated on that trade and never really got back into that short. But Cardano is doing me well. So Cardano is one trade and Luna. Luna is also the other short position that I'm currently in. So Luna, Ethereum, and Cardano. And Luna's weekly candle looks like garbage. So usually the way I like to look at these things, and these are key sort of observations and key lessons that I have taken note of. You see strength in some coins. Say in an overall bearish market, there are some coins that hold strong, right? But given the current market juncture, given Bitcoin's current position, as well as many of the altcoins, I think Luna is going to follow suit in terms of further move to the downside. At least that's what I am gunning for right now. I think Luna could get down to the bottom of the range, which comes in at around $38. Right now, we have a symmetrical triangle being drawn out, if I'm not wrong. At least that's what I have on my chart. Yes, we had a fake out breakout on the symmetrical. And then likely, if we break to the downside, this takes Luna to... By the way, the symmetrical triangle I'm looking at, or the pattern play, comes in on the daily time frame for those of you who want to follow along.
On Luna?
Yeah,
Wait,
that
hold up.
comes in. Yeah, that comes in at $38.
So
The
daily
difference
time
between
frame,
36
you're
and
looking at the bear flag on the weekly, essentially.
Yes, that bear
Okay.
flag. And even $38 is going to be the conservative thing because I'm only looking at the symmetrical triangle break. If you're taking the entire flag, then it's going to be a lot lower than 38.6, but I like taking it one level at a time. I'm
What time?
playing the ranges
What time
on
frame are you
the
looking at
altcoins.
this ascending triangle? Oh, sorry, the
The
symmetrical triangle.
symmetrical daily.
So it broke
So
up
I
and then
have
broke
the
down.
Yeah, it broke up. There was a fake out, broke back
Ah,
down, we're back into the triangle. I'm
okay,
saying
okay,
this
okay, yeah.
likely takes another dip to the downside, except the triangle gets activated on the downside.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, that's fair. I'm interested in seeing what BTC is doing over here on the high time frames. Let's go take a look, Krisha. BTC has also broken back into its bull flag that broke again. BTC always does this.
Yeah.
The amount of times I've gotten faked out on BTC, ridiculous, guys, ridiculous. And then watch out for this. Okay, so this time though, Krisha, I think it's gonna have a deeper pullback. Again, this is my bias on Bitcoin though, right? Because I'm expecting Bitcoin to outperform all coins. And we may see that play out on BTC. What if you see, if you had to point out targets for BTC, where do you think it could come down to? Take your time. This is not an easy chart. It's messy.
I'm looking at the 0.05 sat region. 0.054 sats.
Looking at the weekly, I think we have the same zone.
I'm looking at the weekly.
Yeah. I have the same zone there. I have the same zone. Yeah. So I have that zone too. If so, BTC is kind of like putting in it's still in a bull flag, I guess you could, or like a rising channel, one of the two. Call it what you want. So it could potentially bounce somewhere around here. But if this breaks down, if it starts taking out these key lows, that's when it gets interesting. If it takes out 0.059, then yeah, 0.05 next. That's the zone that we're looking at. But if it takes that out as well, Kusha, that's where it gets super interesting because that's a move all the way down to 0.036, 0.035.
Yes. In fact, we're currently sitting on support. We start breaking the support to the downside. Watch out, you guys. Watch the hell out, because Ethereum is not going to be looking good. I mean, I'm still sitting pretty
DJ
in Ethereum,
Blitz
so...
DJ Blitz says that looks like it's putting in a head and shoulders top. I wouldn't call it that, but you're the pattern queen. Usually you want the head to be taller than the shoulders, Blitz. I'm also not seeing the volume for a head and shoulders, to be honest, but again, you could just look at this as a rising channel that loses structure, right? That's an easier way to trade this.
Yeah, I see what you're looking at, DJ Blitz. That's a cool name. Yeah. No, I think it's more of a fake out of a symmetrical, quite honestly. Usually when you see these it's showing way too much weakness here. It's showing way too much weakness on a rising let's say neckline like that. You usually see more of a consolidation on your right shoulder, you know? It gives you more time to get into your trades and more time for distribution that happens. There's literally no time being given to the bulls in this case, or the hodlers for that matter. The distribution is happening extremely fast here. I think this is more of a breakdown of a symmetrical triangle. It's showing excess technical weakness for it to be a head and shoulders.
If you look at the
But it's
weekly,
all in the
Kusha,
nuances, I guess. I feel like pay attention to the structure here. I think if you really want a good, easy play on this, the structure is what's going to tip you off on a chart like this right now. So we lose the low there. The low, guys, comes in at around 0.064 sats. right? Look at your weekly time frame. Look at the last wick low that was put in, 0.064 sats. We lose that, we're coming down. Period. Done. Over.
So, Kusha, if you just look at the structure as a bear flag, I'm talking about the high all the way down. It's a bear flag. It's not the prettiest of bear flags, but that's exactly the kind of bear flags you want to look for. If you do take out the low that you just mentioned, that's essentially the bear flag also getting activated, and the measured move points literally to our zone at 0.05. So again, some confluence over there, guys. 0.05 on at BTC. That's a trade.
Major props to Mock and Paulo. Mock says, I don't want to be too smug about this. No, it's good. If you get something right, like, sure, as in, like, pat yourself on the back. But he's like, but Paulo and I predicted this perfectly since before it broke up.
On ETH?
On ETH.
Oh, nice. Well done, guys. Well done. Gotta get Paulo on here, too.
Yeah.
All right,
Good
so
fish.
we can look at Matic and then wrap up.
Yeah. The
famished.
last coin, Matic. Matic coming up. Man, I feel like shit about Matic, I'll be honest. I never got back into that trade. I got faked out, and I did not get back. So, anyways, Matic is looking weak, of course. I think Depeche, the next level that Matic comes in at around $1.08. $1.08 is the next level that Matic comes down to. I think this is no, it's not a Head and Shoulders. Never mind. I was looking at this to be a Head and Shoulders. This looks more of a. I mean, it's a breakdown of a rising wedge, right, Depeche? This is something that we have been talking about now for some time.
This is
So
actually
rising wedge was playing out on Matic, and it was a very, very clean, very clear rising wedge. I know there's like a mini cup and handle too, somewhere, but the rising channel is the clearest pattern right now, and so
perfect
even the rising
retest
channel,
too.
yeah, it was great. It's just that I got faked out on the 4-day time frame. That's where I took my trade, and I never really got back in. But anyways, the measured move for the rising channel takes Matic all the way down to 97 cents. 97 cents is the next target. So I'm looking at $1.08 going down to 97. We start breaking that and then buckle in for something a lot lower. At that point, I'm looking at 42 cents next stop. It gets volatile for Matic. So just a quick heads up on that.
I'm not in any of these trades, so I can't offer you guys too much advice.
I'm playing the ranges, by the way,
Yeah.
guys. So the 3 trades that I have open, I'm playing the ranges. I'm being very, very steadfast on that. It's just easier to manage, more rewarding. So yeah, that's that. That is that. All right, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed this live stream. For those of you who are just joining in, we had a very, very interesting conversation in the beginning that wherein we spoke about the war, we spoke about gold, and also Sean gave you a bunch of his history lessons. He's got a knack for his storytelling, so definitely tune in. Rewind if you have to and watch that segment. Highly, highly, highly recommended.
And I'm famished, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna go eat now.
Let's wrap this baby up.
So with that,
I have
guys,
no final thoughts. Sean?
Again, my final thoughts. If Bitcoin is to see a rally, it needs to see it within the next few days. I'm looking for Bitcoin to close. I'm going to remain cautious to bearish until we close about the monthly Tenkin. I'm going to flip bearish as soon as we close underneath the 21 EMA and the Kijun on the monthly time frame. And again, I'll be looking for that a deeper move. Of course, Kusha has a very, very strong point on that weekly 200 exponential moving average coming in underneath right over here, lining up with her $25,000 target. We could see a wick down to the weekly 200 moving average, and like that's like I just that would be such a gift if people get that without prices coming down even deeper. That would just be too good of a gift. But I do think that we could see a deeper flush down. But again, that's all pretense on us actually losing those monthly levels, and it's all lining up right for the end of the month coming in 4 days and 13 hours. So a lot will be revealed in the next 4 days. We have the weekly coming in at weekly close coming in at 3 days. In 3 days, if we do these, like losing the bottom of the weekly cloud alone is sign enough. By the way, guys, losing the bottom of the cloud is going to be a big sign. Like last time we did that was just prior to the COVID dump, right? Closed perfectly underneath, saw a rally, and boom, you guys were here. We traded this during this time over here. And yeah, if we see something again similar, it's going to be a very similar move, right? Closing underneath the cloud, might see a temporary rally. That's going to be a short. That's going to be a really nice short, right? Because if we see a weekly close underneath the cloud lining up with the monthly close underneath the Kijun, it just doesn't get easier than that. Now, that's going to be the short that I'm going to be looking for. Everything lining up, making my short really easy, and then I'll be looking for this sort of move. Now, if we do see that bounce at around 25,000, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to manage that trade, but I'm going to be hunting for a big move. That's just how I trade, guys. I like hunting for the big moves. I take losses in the process. I give up profits in the process. A really good example of that would be my most recent trade. Had a nice run to the top of the monthly 10 SMA over here. Had to give up profits, and a profitable trade turned out to be a loser. That's the trade-off I make as someone who enjoys this trading style. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, hit the like, hit the subscribe, leave a comment down below, and we'll see you guys in the Grove at themangoway.com/discord. See you guys all in there.
How are you guys?